What's up, Southside Youth? Pastor Dalton here at both the Redstone and Commerce campus. Hey, I wanted to talk to you today about something that I think is really important. But first, before we say that, I want to remind you that we are in this Knowing God series. We're talking all about different stories about how people came to know God. And in this story today, I think there's a little bit of truth that may be hard for each and every one of us. Today, we're going to be in the book of Matthew, specifically Matthew 19. And in that story, we see somebody who, by all accounts today, would be an influencer. He had everything you could ever imagine. And to be honest, he was living a fairly good life per his own words. So here's this guy. He's a young man. He's got everything. The Bible describes him as a rich, young ruler. And in this story, he comes and he has a great question. This guy who you would think has everything still is wanting more. But the thing he's seeking is actually not something bad at all. Let's check this out. This is Matthew 19. It says this. Jesus was walking, just to give you a little clarity, Jesus had been walking and teaching. And in this moment, in verse 16, it starts with this. Just then, someone came up and asked him, "Teacher, what good must I do to have eternal life?" This is the young man to Jesus. Jesus responds with this. "Why do you ask me what is good?" He says to him, "There is only one who is good, and if you want to enter life, keep the commandments." In this moment, Jesus is trying to teach this young man something. He's trying to tell him, if you think that you can do this, if you want to reach eternal life, then you have to perfectly live out the commandments. So here he is. The young man responds. This response is pretty interesting. He says, "Which ones, Jesus?" Jesus answers, "Do not murder, do not commit adultery, do not steal, do not bear false witness. Honor your father and mother, and love your neighbor as yourself." I've kept all of these things, the young man says. It's a pretty out there statement. What do I still lack? And in this moment, I love this. So Jesus goes from giving him very practical, kind of trying to help him realize like it's just not doable what you're asking for through your own accord. But then Jesus shows us something important here. You see, God doesn't see things the way we see things. Where in 1 Samuel, the Bible tells us, man looks at the outside, God looks at the heart. So in this moment, Jesus gives him an answer, and to be honest, it's a great answer, as Jesus should give. Jesus' answer is follow the commandments perfectly. That's how you can get to heaven on your own. Now, spoiler alert, the Bible tells us that's impossible for us as humans. You see, we have that sin problem that we often talk about. That sin problem keeps us from being perfect. And we need someone to help us have a relationship with God. So in this moment, we'll talk about that here in a second. In this moment, Jesus says, here's what you got to do. If you want to be perfect, go sell your belongings and give to the poor. And you will have treasure in heaven. Then come and follow me. The young man's response tells a lot about his heart. And I think this is what Jesus is trying to get to. The young man heard this and he went away grieving because he had many possessions. You see, the young man in this story maybe was following those commandments to the best of his ability. But one of the commandments, love the God and don't have any other gods before me, he was failing at. You see, this young man, he had great riches, he had great power, and he was unwilling, the Bible tells us, to give those things up. So in this story, I think there's a truth that can be really important for each of us. What are you holding in front of your relationship with God? What's holding you back from following Jesus? In this story for this young man, it was possessions. And I know before we say anything, I want you to hear this. Don't judge this guy. Don't be like, well, that guy's an idiot. If I was standing next to Jesus, I would have said, yes, I'll do anything for you, Jesus. Because here's the deal. Maybe you wouldn't. Maybe you have something in your life that's holding you back. So today I want you to think about this idea before we go to small group. What do you need to sell today? What do you need to sell that's holding you back from a deeper relationship with Jesus? Today, Jesus is asking you, sell your stuff and follow follow me. In small group, we're going to be breaking down this a little bit more. We're going to reread it together. We're going to talk about it. But today, I want you to be thinking about that. Sell your stuff and follow me. That's Jesus' answer. You see, the young man, he had a great question. He asked the right person. And when he got a great answer, the perfect answer from Jesus, he didn't respond the way he should have. Love you guys. Can't wait to see you here next week at Southside. Have a great small group. Bye.